Security, get this man out of here now. Miranda Stone's voice cut through the lobby like a knife. She pointed at Daniel Wright, her finger shaking with disgust. He stood there, hand still extended, waiting for a handshake that would never come. She looked at his palm like it carried disease, stepped back, actually stepped back. I don't shake hands with people like you. 50 people watched. Someone pulled out a phone, started recording. Daniel lowered his hand slowly, said nothing, walked out with his head high. He didn't know it yet, but that video would hit 14 million views in 72 hours. And Miranda Stone. She didn't know the man she just humiliated was worth $2.1 billion. That his company was the only thing standing between her and total bankruptcy. 48 hours later, she'd be standing on his porch at dawn begging for 5 minutes. But by then, it would be far too late. Comment your city below. Let's see how far this story reaches. Part 1. The Handshake. Get your hands off me. I can walk myself out. Daniel Wright shrugged off the security guard's grip. His voice was calm. Too calm for a man who'd just been publicly humiliated. The younger guard military haircut hand on his radio stepped closer. Sir, we need to escort you to the... I said I can walk. The older guard Marcus held up his hand. Let him go, Rick. He's leaving. Daniel straightened his collar, picked up his leather portfolio from where it had fallen. The corner was scuffed now. Sarah had given him that portfolio 11 years ago. He walked toward the door. Behind him, Miranda Stone was already laughing with her investors. Can you believe that these scammers get more creative every day? Daniel heard every word. He kept walking. The revolving door pushed him out into California morning sun. Bright, indifferent. The kind of sunshine that didn't care what just happened inside. His phone buzzed. Text from his daughter Emma. How'd the signing go? Tyler's already talking about pizza celebration tonight. Daniel stared at the screen. His fingers hovered over the keys. What was he supposed to say? That a woman had looked at his hand like it was covered in filth? That she'd called security because his jeans weren't expensive enough? He typed, meeting got postponed. I'll explain later. Love you. Postponed? After 6 months, Dad, what happened? Later, sweetheart? Promise. He turned his phone off. Yeah, Ted. 30 minutes earlier, everything had been different. Daniel had walked into that lobby at 8:47 a.m., carrying hope in his chest. 6 months of negotiations, 31 conference calls, 400 emails, all leading to today. $300 million acquisition. His company buying Titan Technologies. 4,500 jobs saved. The receptionist had smiled at him. Young woman professional. Good morning, sir. How can I help you? Daniel Wright, 9 a.m. meeting with Miranda Stone. She'd typed, frowned, typed again. I'm sorry I don't see you on the... Check with Jenny, her assistant. It's been confirmed for 3 weeks. Phone call. Murmured conversation. Then, Mr. Wright, there seems to be an administrative error. Would you mind waiting while we sort this out? I'll wait. He'd found a chair near the windows, set his portfolio on his lap, watched people come and go. His phone had buzzed then too. Priya, his COO. You there yet? Waiting in lobby. Some scheduling mix-up. Typical. These people can't organize a calendar. You sure about this deal? 4,500 jobs, Priya. I know, just be careful. I've heard things about Miranda Stone. What kind of things? The kind that makes good people quit. High turnover, toxic culture, 3 discrimination lawsuits settled out of court. Daniel had read those reports. He'd read everything. 8 months of research before he'd even agreed to the first call. But he'd also read the employee reviews. The ones from regular workers, not executives. People who loved their jobs, loved their teams, just hated the leadership. Those people deserved better. That's why he was here. I'll be careful, he'd typed back. But those 4,500 people need someone to fight for them. You're too good for this world, Daniel Wright. My wife used to say the same thing. Sarah was right, as usual. At 8:52 they'd appeared, a cluster of expensive suits emerging from the executive elevator. Miranda Stone in the center cream-colored designer outfit, diamonds catching light with every gesture. Two men flanked her, investors, European from the accents, laughing at something she'd said. Daniel had stood, straightened his shirt, walked toward them. This was it. 6 months of work, one handshake away from saving thousands of families. Ms. Stone. She'd turned. And everything changed. Who are you? Not hello, not can I help you, just that flat, cold question. Daniel Wright. He'd extended his hand, smiled. We have a 9 a.m. meeting, the acquisition papers. Her eyes had traveled down, slowly, deliberately. His blue button-down shirt, his worn jeans, his comfortable leather shoes. When her eyes came back up, something had shifted in her face. I'm sorry, I think you're confused. Ma'am, I flew in from Ohio specifically for Ohio. She'd said it like a disease. And you came dressed like this. Ms. Stone, if you'd just check with your office. I don't need to check anything. She'd turned to her investors. Can you believe this? Someone actually crashed our meeting? The silver-haired European frowned. Miranda, perhaps we should... No, Klaus, watch this. This is exactly what I deal with every day. She'd stepped closer to Daniel, close enough that he could smell her perfume. Let me guess. You saw our TechCrunch article. Thought you'd show up, pretend to be important, maybe network your way into something. I'm not pretending anything. Call your CFO, Robert Chen. He and I spoke Tuesday to confirm. You know what I see. Miranda's voice had gotten louder. People in the lobby were turning. I see a man who couldn't bother to dress appropriately, who thinks he can waltz into a professional environment looking like he's going to mow his lawn. Ms. Stone. I see someone who doesn't belong here. Those words, doesn't belong here. Daniel had felt them land, heavy, familiar. He'd felt them at MIT when a professor asked if he was lost. He'd felt them at a tech conference when someone handed him their coat assuming he was staff. He'd felt them 100 times in 100 different rooms. All I'm asking, Daniel had said quietly, is for you to make one phone call. And all I'm asking is for you to leave before I have you arrested for trespassing. She'd turned to the security desk then, raised her voice so the whole lobby could hear. Can someone help me? This man is disrupting a private business meeting. He's not on any guest list. He claims to be some kind of investor, but a sharp laugh. Just look at him. Ma'am, is there a problem? Marcus, the older security guard, had approached carefully. His eyes were kind, tired, the eyes of a man who'd seen too much. Yes, there's a problem. Miranda had pointed at Daniel. This man is trespassing. Remove him immediately. Sir. Marcus had looked at Daniel. Do you have an appointment? I have a 9 a.m. meeting, confirmed 3 weeks ago. There's been some kind of... He has nothing. Miranda cut him off. I would know. This is my company. The younger guard, Rick, had stepped forward, hand near his belt. Sir, we're going to need you to come with us. I can walk myself out. No. Miranda's voice had gone sharp, ice cold. Escort him, all the way to the street. I want everyone to see what happens when people try to waste my time. Daniel had looked at her then. Really looked. She was afraid. He could see it now. Underneath the designer suit and the diamond earrings and the cruel smile. She was terrified. Her company was dying. He knew the numbers. $12 million monthly burn rate. 47 days until they couldn't make payroll. 31 investors had already said no. She was drowning, and she didn't even recognize the lifeline standing in front of her. You're making a mistake, he'd said quietly. The only mistake was letting you through the front door. She'd looked at his hand one more time, his hand that was still extended, still offering the handshake that would have sealed the deal. She'd looked at it like it was contaminated. Then she'd turned her back. Get him out of here. Now Daniel stood on the sidewalk, portfolio in hand, watching traffic pass. His phone was off. The sun was warm. Somewhere a bird was singing. He thought about Sarah. She'd died 3 weeks before his first major contract came through. 3 weeks. After years of struggle of coding until 3 a.m. of telling the kids that things would get better soon. She never got to see it. Never got to see him succeed. But she'd seen something else. She'd seen who he was when they had nothing. That's what matters, she'd told him near the end. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were clear. Not what you build, who you are when no one's watching. Daniel flagged a cab. Airport, he said. Which terminal? Doesn't matter. First flight to Ohio. Back in the lobby, Miranda Stone was riding high. I apologize for that interruption. She'd turned to Klaus and his colleague with her brightest smile. You wouldn't believe the kinds of people who try to crash these meetings. Klaus wasn't smiling. Miranda, that seemed excessive. Excessive, Klaus. You have to be firm with these people. Show weakness once, and they think they can take advantage. Still, perhaps security could have handled it more quietly. I handle everything directly. It's how my father ran things. It's how I run things. Klaus exchanged a glance with his colleague. We should go, his colleague said. Our flight. But we haven't finished discussing. We finished last week, Miranda. Klaus's voice had gone cold. We told you no. We only stopped by today as a courtesy. Klaus, good luck with your search. They'd walked away. Miranda had stood alone in that gleaming lobby, surrounded by marble and chrome and money, and for just a moment her mask had slipped. Fear. Real fear. Then she'd pulled out her phone and texted Jenny. That man who was just removed. Delete him from our system. I don't want his type contacting us again. She'd walked back to the elevator, pressed the button for 38. She had no idea that in 2 hours and 13 minutes, her entire world was going to collapse. 10:04 a.m. Miranda's corner office. Floor-to-ceiling windows. View of the entire city. She was on a call with the bank. Again. Ms. Stone, I understand your frustration, but without additional capital injection, we simply cannot extend the credit line further. I have investors lined up. Just give me 60 days. You've been saying that for 6 months. Our board has made a decision. The deadline stands. 47 days. That's not enough time. Then I suggest you move faster. The line went dead. Miranda threw her phone across the desk. It slid off the edge and cracked against the floor. Perfect. Just perfect. Her office door opened. Jenny, her assistant, walked in slowly. Her face was white. Ms. Stone, I need to show you something. Not now. Ms. Stone, please. Something in Jenny's voice made Miranda look up. What is it? Jenny set her tablet on the desk. Her hands were trembling. The man from this morning, the one you had removed. What about him? His name is Daniel Wright. I know, so. Jenny turned the tablet around. Forbes.com filled the screen. Daniel Wright, the billionaire who built an empire while raising 2 kids alone. Miranda stared at the photo. Same face, same calm expression. Same man she'd refused to shake hands with 90 minutes ago. No. Ms. Stone. No, that's not. This is a different. It's him. Jenny's voice cracked. Net worth $2.1 billion. His company, Wright Technologies, manages $4.7 billion in assets. He was coming here to sign the acquisition papers. $300 million. He specifically chose us because he wanted to save all 400 to 500 jobs. Miranda couldn't breathe. She scrolled down. More photos. Daniel at a White House dinner. Daniel accepting an award. Daniel on a panel at Davos. In every single photo, he was dressed exactly like he'd been dressed this morning. Jeans, button-down shirt, comfortable shoes. At the bottom of the article, a pull quote in large font. I dress casually on purpose. It's a filter. I want to see if people respect me for my ideas or judge me by my appearance. The ones who can't see past the clothes are never worth working with. Miranda's hands started shaking. The meeting was confirmed 3 weeks ago. Jenny's voice was barely a whisper. I have all the emails. He flew in from Ohio specifically for this signing. Call him. What? Call him now. Get him on the phone. Jenny pulled out her phone, dialed, waited. Voicemail. Try again. She tried again, and again, and again. Voicemail. Every time. Miranda grabbed her own phone from the floor. The screen was cracked, but still working. She found Daniel's number, the one she'd told Jenny to delete. Dialed. 1 ring, 2 rings. You've reached Daniel Wright. Leave a message. Mr. Wright, this is Miranda Stone. There's been a terrible misunderstanding this morning. Please call me back immediately. We need to discuss. She hung up. Called again. Voicemail. Called again. Voicemail. Jenny, get Robert! Get him now! Robert Chen, CFO, arrived 4 minutes later. He walked in holding coffee and a stack of reports. What's the emergency I'm preparing for? Miranda shoved the tablet at him. Robert looked at the screen. His face went white. Miranda. I didn't know. Tell me you didn't. I didn't know, Robert. Tell me you did not have Daniel Wright escorted out of this building by security. She couldn't speak. Robert set down his coffee. His hands were shaking. Do you have any idea? Do you have any idea who that man is? I know now. He's not just a billionaire, Miranda. He's the billionaire. The one everyone wants to work with. The one who saved Hendricks Manufacturing and kept 6,000 jobs. The one who bought Patterson Tech and gave every employee stock options. The one who specifically, his voice cracked, specifically chose US because he believed our employees deserved a chance. We can fix this. We apologize, we explain. He invests based on character. Miranda, Robert was shouting now. He said it 100 times. He doesn't care about pitch decks or projections. He cares about how people treat others, about integrity, about respect. Then we show him respect. You had him thrown out. You refused to shake his hand in front of 50 people. Miranda's legs gave out. She dropped into her chair. What do we do? I don't know. There has to be something. Call him. Use your connections. You think he doesn't have connections? You think the man worth $2.1 billion needs my connections? Robert laughed. It was an ugly sound. It's over, Miranda. We had one shot. One. And you destroyed it because you couldn't be bothered to read a briefing document. Her phone buzzed. Text from Richard, the board chairman. My office. Now. Don't make me come get you. Miranda looked at the message. Looked at the Forbes article. Looked at Robert, who was already walking out. Robert. He stopped at the door. What do I do? He turned. His face was stone. Pray. The door closed behind him. Miranda sat alone in her corner office, 38 floors up, watching the sun shine on a city that suddenly felt like a prison. 47 days until bankruptcy. 400 or 500 families depending on her. And the only man who could save them was somewhere over Nevada right now, flying home to Ohio, never planning to return. She'd looked at his hand like it was contaminated. And now she was going to lose everything. Meanwhile, Daniel Wright was 30,000 feet in the air, staring out the window at clouds that looked like cotton. His phone was off. The flight attendant had offered him champagne. First-class upgrade automatic for frequent flyers. He'd asked for water instead. The seat next to him was empty. Good. He needed quiet. His portfolio sat on the tray table. The corner was still scuffed from where it had fallen. He ran his thumb over the mark. I'm sorry, babe, he said quietly. too quiet for anyone to hear. I tried. He thought about 400 or 500 employees, families, mortgages, kids' college funds, all of it hanging by a thread. He thought about Miranda Stone's face when she'd looked at his hand. He thought about Marcus, the security guard, the apology in his eyes. He thought about Emma's text. How'd the signing go? His daughter, 15 years old, thought her dad could fix anything. What was he going to tell her? The clouds rolled by, white and endless. Somewhere far below, Miranda Stone was calling his phone for the 47th time. He didn't know it yet, and even if he did, he wasn't sure he would have answered. 3 hours later, Daniel's plane landed in Columbus. He turned his phone on. 47 missed calls, 23 voicemails, 31 emails, all from the same number, the same name, Miranda Stone. He scrolled through without reading. Delete, delete, delete. One voicemail caught his eye. Different number. Robert Chen, CFO. He pressed play. Mr. Wright, this is Robert Chen. I understand what happened this morning. I want you to know that not everyone at this company shares Miranda's perspective. There are 400 or 500 people here who had nothing to do with what happened in that lobby. Families, Mr. Wright. Good people. Whatever you decide, I just wanted you to know that. They didn't deserve this. None of them deserved this. The message ended. Daniel sat in his car in the airport parking garage. 400 or 500 families. He thought about his own kids, about the years when they had nothing, when Sarah was working double shifts and he was coding in the garage, and they ate pasta 4 nights a week because that's all they could afford. People had helped them then. Strangers, neighbors. The old man at the hardware store who gave them a discount he didn't have to give. Nobody makes it alone. His phone rang. Priya. He answered. You saw the news. The whole world saw the news, Daniel. That video is everywhere. What video? Silence. Daniel. You don't know what? Someone in that lobby recorded the whole thing. Miranda Stone refusing to shake your hand, calling security, saying she doesn't shake hands with people like you. Daniel closed his eyes. How bad? 6 million views. And climbing. He let out a long breath. The comments are brutal, Priya continued. Everyone's calling for her head. Boycott campaigns already starting. 3 major news outlets want statements from you. No statements. Daniel. I said no statements, no interviews, no comments. Okay. Pause. So what's the play deal's dead right? Daniel looked at his cracked portfolio. 400 or 500 families. I don't know yet. You don't know. Give me time, Priya. Let me think. Take all the time you need. But Daniel. Yeah. Whatever you decide. Sarah would be proud of you. You know that, right? His throat tightened. I'll call you tomorrow. He hung up, sat in the silence of the parking garage, and for the first time in 11 years, Daniel Wright didn't know what to do next. His house looked the same as always. White siding, blue shutters, basketball hoop slightly crooked in the driveway. Home. He pulled in at 4:47 p.m. Tyler's soccer game had ended an hour ago. Emma's car was in the driveway, the one he'd bought her last month for her 16th birthday. She'd cried. Actual tears. Dad, this is too much. Nothing's too much for you, sweetheart. The front door opened before he reached it. Tyler came running out, 11 years old, all arms and legs, grass stains on his knees. Dad. I scored 2 goals. 2. Coach said I might make varsity next year, and I'm only in 6th grade. Daniel dropped to one knee, caught his son in a hug. That's amazing, buddy. I'm so proud of you. I wish you'd been there, but Emma recorded it. You can watch later. I will, I promise. Emma appeared in the doorway. 16. Dark hair like her mother. Eyes that saw everything. Dad? Hey, sweetheart. She walked down the steps slowly. I saw the video. Daniel's stomach dropped. Emma, it's everywhere, Dad. Everyone at school sent it to me. That woman. Her voice cracked. How could she do that to you? It's okay. It's not okay. Emma's eyes were wet. She looked at you like you were nothing. Like you were trash. And you're the best person I know. You're... She broke down. Daniel pulled her into his arms, held her tight. Hey, look at me. She looked up. That woman doesn't know me. She made a judgment based on what I was wearing. That says everything about her and nothing about me. But your mom used to tell me something. He wiped a tear from her cheek. She said, how people treat you when they think you're nobody shows you exactly who they are. That's all that happened today. I found out who Miranda Stone really is. So you're not doing the deal. Daniel paused. 400-500 families. I don't know yet, sweetheart. I have to think about it. After what she did, Boo, 400-500 people work at that company. They didn't do anything wrong. Emma stared at him. You're actually considering helping her after she humiliated you. I'm considering helping them. There's a difference. Tyler tugged his sleeve. Dad, can we watch My Goals now and order pizza? Daniel looked at his son, his daughter, this house that Sarah had loved. Yeah, buddy, let's watch your goals. They went inside. The video could wait. The decision could wait. Miranda Stone could wait. Right now, Daniel Wright was exactly where he needed to be. That night after the pizza was gone, and Tyler was asleep, and Emma was in her room, Daniel sat in the living room. Sarah's photo watched him from the mantel. What would you do? He asked the empty room. The silence didn't answer. His phone sat on the coffee table, still off. He knew what was waiting. More calls, more emails, more desperate pleas from a woman who'd looked at his hand like it carried disease. But also 400-500 people who'd done nothing wrong. He picked up the phone, turned it on. 117 missed calls now, 89 emails. The video, 11 million views. One new voicemail. From a number he didn't recognize. He pressed play. A woman's voice, broken, raw. Mr. Wright, this is Miranda Stone. I know you're not going to answer. I know I don't deserve you to answer. But I'm calling because I don't know what else to do. What I did this morning was unforgivable. I looked at you and I made a judgment based on nothing. Based on clothes. Based on my own assumptions. I was wrong. I was so wrong. And now 400-500 people are going to lose everything because of my mistake. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm asking you to help them. Please. They didn't do this. I did. Please don't punish them for what I did. The message ended. Daniel sat in the dark. Sarah's photo watched. 400-500 families. One decision. His phone buzzed. New text from Priya. Video just hit 14 million views. Miranda Stone's trending #1 on Twitter. Board called emergency meeting for tomorrow morning. Whatever you're deciding, decide fast. Daniel looked at his wife's photo one more time. I know what you'd tell me, he said quietly. You'd tell me to do the hard thing, the right thing, even when it hurts. He stood up. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, he sat with his decision. And slowly, piece by piece, he began to build a plan. The sun hadn't risen yet when Daniel's phone rang again. He'd been awake for hours, sitting in the kitchen, coffee growing cold in front of him, staring at nothing. The house was silent. Kids still asleep. Just him and his thoughts, and the weight of a decision he wasn't ready to make. The phone showed Priya's name. 5:47 a.m. You're up early. I haven't slept. Her voice was tight. Daniel, it's worse than we thought. How much worse? The video hit 22 million views overnight. CNN picked it up. Fox News, MSNBC. Everyone's running with it. Billionaire humiliated by CEO is trending worldwide. Daniel closed his eyes. I didn't want this. I know, but it's happening whether you want it or not. Pause. There's more. Tell me. 3 of Titan's biggest clients pulled contracts this morning. Stock dropped 34% in pre-market trading. The board called an emergency session for 8 a.m. Pacific. Word is they're discussing removing Miranda Stone as CEO. Daniel said nothing. Daniel. You still there? I'm here. What are you thinking? He looked at Sarah's photo on the counter, the one he kept in the kitchen so she could watch over breakfast just like she used to. I'm thinking about 400 or 500 people who woke up this morning wondering if they're going to have jobs next month. That's not your fault. No. But it might be my responsibility. Silence on the line. You're not seriously considering. I don't know what I'm considering. That's the truth. Daniel, she humiliated you. On camera. In front of the whole world. She looked at your hand like you were diseased. She called you people like you. You know what that means. We all know what that means. I know. So why are you even hesitating? Daniel took a breath. Let it out slowly. Because Sarah would have hesitated. Priya didn't respond. She used to say that the measure of a person isn't how they treat people who can help them. It's how they treat people who can't. But she also said something else. She said forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about refusing to let their actions poison your soul. That's beautiful, Daniel. It really is. But this isn't about forgiveness. This is about business. About protecting yourself. About not rewarding someone who... I know what it's about. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're about to save the career of a woman who treated you like garbage. I'm not saving her. I'm saving them. There's a difference. Is there? Because the headlines won't see it that way. Everyone will say Daniel Wright forgave the woman who humiliated him. They'll say you're weak. They'll say. Let them say whatever they want. Daniel. I haven't decided anything yet. I need more time. We don't have more time. The board meets in 2 hours. After that, it's chaos. Bankruptcy proceedings. Layoffs. 400 or 500 people out on the street. Daniel looked out the window. The sky was starting to lighten. Pink and orange on the horizon. Then I guess I have 2 hours to figure out who I want to be. He hung up. The kitchen was quiet again. Sarah's photo smiled at him from the counter. I know, he said softly. I know what you'd do. But I'm not as good as you were. I never was. Upstairs, he heard footsteps. Emma was awake. He had 2 hours. And a decision that would change everything. The board meeting at Titan Technologies started at exactly 800 a.m. Miranda Stone sat at the head of the table, but she didn't feel like she belonged there anymore. 12 faces stared at her, some angry, some disappointed, some already calculating how to distance themselves from the wreckage. Richard, the chairman, spoke first. I assume everyone has seen the video. Murmurs around the table, nods. As of this morning, we've lost 3 major clients. Stock is down 41%. We have 46 days of runway left, and our only viable acquisition partner has gone silent. He turned to Miranda. Would you like to explain how we got here? Miranda's throat was dry. She'd rehearsed this moment 100 times since yesterday, had all the words planned out. But now, sitting here with all those eyes on her, the words wouldn't come. I made a mistake. A mistake. Richard's voice was ice. You called the only man willing to save this company a scam artist. You had him removed by security. You refused to shake his hand. On camera. With 50 witnesses. I didn't know who he was. You didn't bother to know. Richard slammed his hand on the table. The briefing document was on your desk for 3 weeks. 3 weeks, Miranda. His photo was on page 1, his biography, his investment philosophy, everything you needed to know. I don't read every... That's exactly the problem. A woman at the far end of the table spoke. Patricia, the longest-serving board member. You don't read. You don't listen. You assume you know everything because your name is on the building. That's not fair. Fair. Patricia laughed. You want to talk about fair? Daniel Wright lost his wife while building his company. He raised 2 children alone. He came here to save 400 or 500 jobs, and you treated him like he was nobody. That's not unfair, Miranda. That's unforgivable. Miranda felt tears threatening. She blinked them back. I'm trying to fix it. I've called him over 100 times. I've sent emails. He's not answering, Richard cut in. And why would he? You showed him exactly who you are. Why would he trust anything else you say? Silence around the table. Finally, a younger board member. David cleared his throat. What are our options, besides Wright Technologies? There are no options. Robert Chen, the CFO, spoke from his seat near the window. I've spent the last 18 hours reaching out to every contact I have. No one will touch us. The video made sure of that. We're toxic. Anyone who partners with us now looks like they're endorsing what Miranda did. So we're dead, David said. Unless Wright changes his mind. Yes. More silence. Richard leaned forward. Miranda, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I want a direct answer. She met his eyes. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to fix this? Yes. Whatever it takes. Even if it means stepping down as CEO. The words hit her like a punch. Richard, answer the question. Miranda looked around the table. 12 faces, 12 judgments, 12 people who'd seen her at her worst and found her wanting. She thought about her father, how he'd built this company from nothing, how he'd trusted her to carry on his legacy. She thought about the employees, the ones who smiled at her in the hallways, the ones who worked late and missed their kids' soccer games and believed they were building something that mattered. She thought about Daniel Wright's face when she'd refused to shake his hand. The calm, the dignity, the quiet disappointment. Yes, she said finally. Whatever it takes, even stepping down. Richard nodded slowly. Then there might be one chance. But it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be pleasant. What? You're going to go to Ohio. You're going to find Daniel Wright. And you're going to beg. Miranda felt the blood drain from her face. Beg. On your knees if you have to. You're going to apologize. Really apologize. Not for getting caught. For what you did. You're going to show him that you understand why it was wrong. And then you're going to ask him, not demand ask, if there's any way he'd consider giving us another chance. And if he says no, then we start bankruptcy proceedings on Monday. Richard's voice was flat. But at least you'll know you tried. Miranda looked at the table, at her hands, at the wedding ring she still wore, even though the marriage had ended 3 years ago. When do I leave? There's a flight in 2 hours. Jenny already booked it. You were that sure I'd agree. I was that sure you had no other choice. Miranda stood up. Her legs felt weak. I'll go. But I need you all to understand something. What? I know what I did was wrong. I've known it since the moment I saw his face on that Forbes article. But this isn't just about saving the company for me. It's about... She struggled for words. It's about proving I can be better than the worst moment of my life. Patricia's expression softened slightly. Just slightly. Then prove it. Actions, Miranda, not words. Miranda nodded. She walked out of the boardroom. 3 hours until Ohio. 3 hours to figure out how to apologize for something that might be unforgivable. The flight was the longest of Miranda's life. She sat in first class, but she might as well have been in cargo. The champagne went untouched. The meal came back barely picked at. She stared out the window at clouds that seemed to go on forever. Her phone was full of notifications. More clients pulling out. More news coverage. More think pieces about what Miranda Stone's behavior reveals about corporate America. She turned it off. Thought about her father instead. He'd started Titan Technologies in a garage, just like Daniel Wright. Funny that. Two men, similar beginnings, completely different outcomes. Her father had died when she was 28. Heart attack. No warning. One day he was there running the company he loved, and the next day he was gone. She'd taken over because there was no one else. Her brother had died in a car accident at 19. Her mother had retreated into grief and never come back out. Miranda was all that was left. "You're not ready," her father had said once a year before he died. "You're smart enough, driven enough, but you don't know how to see people yet. You look at them and you see what they can do for you. You need to learn to see who they are." She'd ignored him, thought she knew better. 20 years later, she finally understood what he meant. The plane began its descent into Columbus. Miranda watched the ground rise up to meet her. She had no speech prepared, no strategy, no backup plan, just the hope that a man she'd wronged might find it in himself to listen. Daniel was in his garage when he heard the car pull up. He'd been working on Tyler's bike. The chain had slipped yesterday and the boy was eager to ride again. Simple work, good work, the kind that let your hands move while your mind wandered. He heard a car door slam, footsteps on the driveway, then Emma's voice from inside the house. "Dad, there's someone here. You might want to come see this." He wiped his hands on a rag, walked out of the garage, and stopped. Miranda Stone stood at the end of his driveway. She looked nothing like the woman from the lobby. Her suit was wrinkled. Her hair was coming loose from its tight ponytail. Her makeup was smeared like she'd been crying and hadn't bothered to fix it. She looked broken. Emma appeared beside Daniel. Her voice was hard. "That's her. That's the woman from the video." "I know." "What is she doing here?" "I don't know." Miranda took a step forward, then stopped, like she wasn't sure if she was allowed to come closer. "Mr. Wright." Her voice cracked on his name. "I know I have no right to be here. I know you probably want me to leave. But I'm begging for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. Then I'll go and never bother you again." Daniel looked at her. He thought about the lobby, the disgust on her face, the way she'd looked at his hand. He thought about 400-500 employees, 400-500 families. He thought about Sarah, what she would have done. "Emma, go inside." "Dad, please." Emma shot Miranda a look of pure venom. Then she went inside. The door closed. Daniel and Miranda stood 10 feet apart. "You have 5 minutes." Miranda opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "I had a speech prepared, on the plane. I practiced it 100 times. But standing here looking at you, I realize how empty words are." "Then why are you here?" "Because I had to see you, face to face, not through a phone call or an email. I had to look you in the eye and tell you that what I did was wrong. Not because I got caught. Not because it hurt my company. Because it was cruel. Because I looked at a human being and decided he wasn't worth basic respect." Daniel said nothing. "You asked me in that lobby if I would have treated you the same way if you'd been wearing a suit. I said yes, but that was a lie, and we both know it. Yes, we do. I grew up privileged. I've never had to worry about money, never had to prove myself to anyone. My father built Titan Technologies, and I inherited it. I didn't earn it. I just received it." She wiped her eyes. "My whole life people have told me I'm smart. I'm capable. I'm a leader. And I believe them. But you know what they never told me? They never told me I was kind. Because I'm not. I look at people and I judge them. By their clothes, by their jobs, by how useful they can be to me. I've been doing it so long I didn't even realize it anymore. It was just how I operated." Daniel's expression didn't change. Then you walked into that lobby, and I looked at you, and I saw jeans. I saw a polo shirt. I saw someone who didn't fit my picture of what an investor should look like. And in 3 seconds, I decided you were nobody. Her voice broke. I didn't see a father. I didn't see a man who built an empire while raising his children alone. I didn't see someone who flew across the country to save 400 or 500 jobs. I saw what I wanted to see, what my bias told me to see. And now I see a man I wronged, a man who has every right to walk away and let my company burn, a man whose forgiveness I don't deserve and probably won't get. Silence. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. My wife died 11 years ago. Miranda blinked. I know. I read she had cancer, breast cancer. By the time they caught it, it had spread everywhere. She lived 14 months after the diagnosis. 14 months of hospitals and chemo, and watching the person I loved most in the world disappear piece by piece. I'm so sorry. In those 14 months, she taught me something. She taught me that time is the only thing that matters. Not money, not success, not what people think of you. Time. How you spend it. Who you spend it with. What you do with the moments you're given. He took a breath. When she died, I made a promise. To myself. To her. I promised that I would spend my time building things that mattered. Helping people who needed it. Being the kind of man my kids could be proud of. Miranda was crying now, not bothering to hide it. Yesterday in that lobby, you took something from me. You took my dignity. In front of 50 strangers, you looked at me and decided I was worth less than the dirt on your shoes. I know. I'm not finished. She fell silent. You hurt me. I won't pretend you didn't. When I walked out of that building, I felt smaller than I've felt in years. I felt like that kid from Ohio again, the one who wore secondhand clothes and got told he'd never amount to anything. He paused. But here's the thing about being hurt. You have a choice. You can let it turn you bitter. Let it close you off. Let it make you into someone who hurts others the way they hurt you. Or you can do something else. You can choose to be better than the worst thing someone did to you. Miranda's breath caught. My wife believed in second chances. She believed that people could change. That even the worst moments didn't have to define a person forever. I'm not sure I'm as good as she was. I'm not sure I can forgive what you did. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I understand. But I can do something else. I can choose to help 400 or 500 people who had nothing to do with what happened in that lobby. I can choose to be the man Sarah believed I could be even when it's hard. Even when everything in me wants to walk away. Miranda stared at him. Are you saying... I'm saying I'm willing to talk. Not to you. To your board. To the employees who are going to lose their jobs if this company fails. I'll hear them out. I'll consider the deal, but there are conditions. Anything. Not anything. Specific things. Things that will cost you. Things that will hurt. Tell me. Daniel looked at her. Really looked. Seeing her clearly for the first time. First, a public apology. Not a press release. Not a statement from your lawyers. You on camera admitting exactly what you did and why it was wrong. No excuses. No spin. The truth. Done. Second, you step down as CEO. Not next month. Not next quarter. Immediately. Miranda flinched, but she nodded. Third, independent audit of your company culture. Every complaint. Every allegation. Every employee who was passed over or pushed out. All of it examined by outside investigators with full authority to recommend changes. Yes. Fourth, $5 million. From your personal accounts, not the company's, yours. Donated to organizations that support working-class families trying to start businesses. I'll do it. Fifth, you personally call every person who filed a complaint against Titan Technologies in the last 5 years. You listen to their stories, you apologize, and you mean it. Miranda's face crumpled, but she straightened. What else? That's it. For now. She stood there, tears running down her face, wind blowing her hair across her eyes. Why? Why what? Why are you giving me a chance after everything I did, after how I treated you? Why? Daniel looked at Sarah's window, the kitchen window, where her photo sat watching over everything. Because someone once gave me a chance when I didn't deserve it. Because my wife taught me that mercy isn't for the person who receives it. It's for the person who gives it. Because I have 2 kids in that house who are watching their father decide what kind of man he's going to be. He turned back to Miranda. And because 400 or 500 families deserve better than to suffer for your mistakes. Miranda broke then. Actually broke. Her shoulders shook. Her hands covered her face. She stood in Daniel Wright's driveway and cried like she hadn't cried since her father died. Daniel didn't comfort her, didn't move toward her, just let her have the moment. When she finally looked up, her face was raw and red and honest. I don't deserve this. No, you don't. But you're doing it anyway. I'm doing it for them, not for you. Remember that. She nodded, wiped her face with her sleeve. Your board meets again tomorrow. Have them call my office at 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll discuss terms. But Miranda, she looked at him. This is your one chance. Fail these conditions. Break your word. Show me that the woman in that lobby is who you really are and I'm gone. Permanently. No third chances. No negotiations. Just gone. I understand. Do you really? She met his eyes, held them. I understand that you're offering me something I don't deserve. And I understand that the only way to honor that is to spend the rest of my career proving I've changed, not with words, with actions, every single day. Daniel studied her. For the first time since the lobby, he saw something different in her eyes. Not fear, not desperation, resolve. Your 5 minutes are up. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Daniel. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when it's done. She nodded, turned, walked back to her rental car. At the door, she stopped, looked back. Your wife sounds like she was an extraordinary person. She was. You're honoring her. What you're doing right now. You're honoring her memory. Daniel didn't answer. Miranda got in her car, started the engine, pulled away. Daniel stood in his driveway until the car disappeared around the corner. Then he went inside. Emma was waiting in the kitchen, arms crossed, face stormy. You're helping her, aren't you? I'm helping 400 or 500 people. She doesn't deserve it. No, she doesn't. Then why? Daniel looked at Sarah's photo, smiled sadly. Because your mom taught me that doing the right thing and doing the easy thing are almost never the same, and because I want you and Tyler to grow up knowing that strength isn't about punishment, it's about choosing grace even when it costs you. Emma's expression softened, just a little. I still hate her. You're allowed to. But I'm proud of you, Dad. Daniel pulled his daughter into a hug. That's all I ever wanted to hear. Outside, the sun was setting, orange and pink across the Ohio sky. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, Daniel Wright held his daughter and felt for the first time in days like maybe, just maybe, he was becoming the man Sarah always knew he could be. The call came at exactly 9:00 a.m. Daniel sat in his home office laptop, open Priya on a separate screen. Across the country, 12 board members stared at their cameras with expressions ranging from desperate hope to barely concealed skepticism. Richard spoke first. Mr. Wright, thank you for taking this call. We understand you've had conversations with Miranda about potential conditions for moving forward. I have. We've reviewed her summary of those conditions. The board has some concerns we'd like to discuss. I'm listening. A man Daniel didn't recognize leaned forward. The public apology. We were hoping to negotiate the specific language. Our legal team feels that certain admissions could expose the company to no. The man blinked. I'm sorry. No negotiations on language. Miranda admits exactly what she did. No legal hedging, no corporate speak. The truth or nothing. Mr. Wright, you have to understand our position. A full admission of, I understand your position perfectly. You want protection. You want to minimize damage. You want to control the narrative. Daniel's voice was calm but firm. That's not what this is about. This is about accountability, real accountability. If you're not prepared for that, we have nothing to discuss. Silence around the virtual table. Richard cleared his throat. What about the CEO transition? Immediate removal seems extreme. Perhaps a 90-day transition period would, immediate. Mr. Wright, Miranda agreed to these terms, in my driveway, yesterday. She looked me in the eye and said yes to every single condition. If the board is now trying to walk those back, that tells me everything I need to know about whether this company is capable of real change. More silence. Patricia, the older board member, spoke up. May I say something? Go ahead. I've been on this board for 18 years. I watched Miranda's father build this company from nothing. I watched Miranda take over after his death. And I watched her slowly become someone I didn't recognize. She paused. What you're asking for isn't unreasonable. It's necessary. If we're not willing to accept these conditions, we deserve to fail. Patricia, Richard started. No, let me finish. Patricia's voice was sharp. We've been protecting Miranda for years, excusing her behavior, looking the other way when employees complained. We created this situation as much as she did. The least we can do now is have the courage to face the consequences. Daniel watched her through the screen, saw something in her eyes he recognized. Regret. The conditions stand, he said. All of them. Non-negotiable. You have until noon today to formally accept or decline. If I don't hear from you by then, I'm moving on, permanently. He ended the call. Priya's face filled the screen. That was intense. That was necessary. You think they'll accept? I think they don't have a choice, but I also think some of them are still hoping to find a way out of the hard parts. And if they do find a way out... Daniel looked at Sarah's photo on his desk. The one from their wedding day. Both of them so young. So hopeful. Then I walk away knowing I gave them a chance. That's all anyone can do. The formal acceptance came at 11:47 a.m. Every condition approved. No modifications. No exceptions. Robert Chen called personally. Mr. Wright, I want you to know that this decision wasn't easy for the board, but it was right. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to prove we can be better. Don't thank me yet. Thank me when you've actually done it. Fair enough? Pause. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why? After everything Miranda did to you, after the way she treated you, why are you doing this? Daniel thought for a moment. Because my wife taught me that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Because I have 2 kids who are watching how their father handles adversity. And because 400 or 500 people shouldn't lose their livelihoods because one woman made a terrible mistake. That's extraordinary. No, it's just choosing to be human. He hung up. Tomorrow, Miranda Stone would face the cameras. Tomorrow, the whole world would watch her admit what she'd done. Tonight, Daniel had a soccer game to attend. Tyler scored 3 goals. Daniel stood on the sidelines cheering until his voice went hoarse. Emma recorded everything on her phone. The other parents waved, smiled, acted normal. Most of them probably hadn't seen the video. Most of them didn't know that the quiet man in jeans was worth $2.1 billion. That's how Daniel liked it. After the game, Tyler ran over grass-stained and grinning. Dad, did you see the second one? The one where I faked left and went right. I saw it, buddy. That was professional level. Coach says I might be ready for Travel League next year. We'll make it happen. Whatever you need." They walked to the car together. Emma fell into step beside Daniel. "The board accepted your conditions." "How'd you know?" "It's all over Twitter. Wright Technologies issues statement on Titan acquisition. People are losing their minds trying to figure out what it means." "What do you think it means?" Emma was quiet for a moment. "I think it means you're a better person than most people would be, including me." "You're plenty good, sweetheart." "I still want to punch her in the face." "Noted." They drove home through streets that looked exactly like they always had. Same houses, same trees, same quiet suburban peace. But everything felt different now. Something was shifting. Something Daniel couldn't quite name. Change was coming. He just didn't know yet how much it would cost. The press conference was scheduled for 3:00 p.m. Pacific Time. Daniel watched it on his laptop, alone. He'd sent the kids to a movie. Didn't want them to see this. Didn't want their faces showing any emotion that cameras might catch. The room was packed with journalists, cameras, lights, the kind of media circus that usually accompanied scandals or disasters. This was both. Miranda walked to the podium at 3:02. She was wearing a simple gray dress. No jewelry. No designer labels. Her hair was down soft around her face. She looked smaller than she had in the lobby. More human. She gripped the podium with both hands, took a breath, began. 4 days ago, I committed an act of profound disrespect against another human being. I'm here today to take full accountability for that action and to begin the long process of making amends. The room was silent. Cameras clicked. Daniel Wright came to Titan Technologies to finalize an acquisition that would have saved our company and protected 400-500 jobs. He flew across the country for a meeting that had been confirmed for 3 weeks. He arrived on time, prepared and professional. She paused. Her voice wavered slightly. "And I had him thrown out by security. I refused to shake his hand. I called him a scam artist. I treated him like he was worthless." A murmur ran through the crowd. "Why did I do this?" "Because Daniel Wright was wearing jeans and a polo shirt instead of a suit. Because he didn't fit my image of what an important person should look like. Because in 3 seconds I made a judgment based on appearance alone and decided he didn't deserve basic human courtesy." She looked directly into the cameras. "I was wrong. Completely and utterly wrong. And I need to be clear about something. This wasn't a mistake of identity. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was bias. The kind of bias that lives in assumptions we don't even realize we're making. The kind that hurts people every single day without anyone being held accountable." Tears were forming in her eyes now. She didn't wipe them away. Daniel Wright is a self-made billionaire who built his company while raising 2 children as a single father. He's donated millions to charity. He's saved thousands of jobs at other companies. He's exactly the kind of person I should have been honored to meet. Instead, I humiliated him in front of 50 strangers and had security escort him from the building. Her voice broke. "There is no excuse for what I did. None. And I want to be absolutely clear, I'm not standing here because I got caught. I'm standing here because what I did was wrong. It would have been wrong if no one had recorded it. It would have been wrong if Daniel Wright had been a nobody instead of a billionaire. Every person deserves to be treated with dignity. Every single one. And I failed that basic test of humanity." She reached for a glass of water. Her hand was shaking. "Effective immediately, I am stepping down as CEO of Titan Technologies. I will remain on the board in a non-executive capacity for a transition period, but I will no longer be making decisions for this company. Additionally, I am personally donating $5 million to organizations that support working-class entrepreneurs and families, and I have committed to a full independent audit of our company culture with complete transparency about the findings." She set down the water. To Daniel Wright, I know these words aren't enough. I know that nothing I say can undo the harm I caused. But I want you to know that meeting you even in those terrible circumstances changed something in me. You showed me who I was, and I didn't like what I saw. I'm going to spend the rest of my career trying to become someone better, someone worthy of the grace you've shown me. Thank you for giving this company a second chance. We don't deserve it, but we will try to earn it." She stepped back from the podium. "I'll take a few questions." The room erupted. "Ms. Stone, do you believe this apology is enough?" "No, words are never enough. Only actions matter. I'll be judged by what I do next, not what I say today." Mr. Wright released a statement saying he's moving forward with the acquisition. "Have you spoken with him directly?" "Yes, he came to my driveway and told me exactly what I needed to do to earn a second chance. He was clear. He was fair. He was more generous than I deserved." Some people are saying you're only apologizing because it affects your bottom line. How do you respond? Miranda paused. They're probably right. If Daniel Wright had been a regular person without the power to hold me accountable, I never would have faced consequences. That's the problem. The system protects people like me. It shouldn't. What happened to Daniel happens to people every day. The only difference is, he had the resources to make me answer for it. Another reporter jumped in. "Do you consider what you did to be racist?" The room went quiet. Miranda's jaw tightened. "I consider what I did to be bias in action. I looked at a man and made assumptions based on his appearance. Those assumptions were wrong and harmful. Whether you call that racism or classism or simple cruelty, the effect is the same. Someone was hurt because I couldn't see past my own prejudices." "Will you be pressing charges against anyone who posted the video?" "Absolutely not. That video showed the truth. The truth should never be punished." "What's next for you personally?" Miranda was quiet for a moment. "I'm going to start listening, really listening, to the employees I ignored, to the people I hurt, to the voices I dismissed because they didn't fit my idea of who mattered. I have a lot to learn, and I'm going to spend however long it takes trying to learn it." She stepped away from the podium. "That's all I have. Thank you." She walked out of the room. Behind her, the cameras kept rolling. The questions kept coming. But Miranda Stone was done talking. Now, it was time to act. Daniel watched the press conference until the end. When it was over, he sat in silence for a long time. His phone buzzed. "Priya. You saw it. I saw it. What do you think?" "I think she meant it." "Really?" "I think she meant it today. The question is whether she'll still mean it in 6 months, in a year, when no one's watching anymore. That's pretty cynical. That's pretty realistic." Pause. "So what now?" "Now we do the deal. Save the jobs, watch and wait." "And Miranda?" Daniel looked at Sarah's photo, wondered what she would have thought of all this. "Miranda gets her chance, same as everyone else. What she does with it is up to her." "Meh. You're a better man than I would be, Daniel." "No, I'm just a man who made a promise to someone I loved, and I'm trying to keep it." He hung up. The house was quiet. Kids still at the movie. Just him and his thoughts and the echo of Miranda Stone's voice saying words she might or might not mean. Time would tell. It always did. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Paperwork. Lawyers. Conference calls that stretched from dawn until midnight. Daniel flew to San Francisco 3 times. Each time he walked into the same lobby where he'd been thrown out. Each time people stared, whispered, pointed. He ignored all of it. The acquisition closed on a Tuesday. 300 million. 500 jobs saved. Headlines everywhere. Wright Technologies completes Titan acquisition despite viral scandal. Billionaire who was humiliated returns to save company. Daniel Wright, the man who chose grace over revenge. Daniel didn't read any of them. He was too busy working. The first thing he did was meet with the employees. Not the executives, not the board. The regular people. The ones who showed up every day and did their jobs and worried about their mortgages and their kids' tuition. He rented out a conference center, invited everyone, all 500. They came because they were curious, because they were scared, because they'd watched the video and read the headlines and didn't know what to expect from this man in jeans who now controlled their futures. Daniel walked onto the stage at exactly 9:00 a.m. No podium, no notes. Just him. Good morning. My name is Daniel Wright. I know you've heard a lot about me over the past few weeks, some of it true, some of it exaggerated. I wanted to meet you in person because I believe you deserve to hear directly from me about what happens next. The room was silent. 500 people holding their breath. First, no layoffs. Not today, not next month, not next year. Every single person in this room has a job for as long as they want one. That was my condition for doing this deal, and the board agreed to it. A ripple of relief moved through the crowd. Someone actually started crying. Second, we're going to do a full review of company culture, not to punish anyone, to understand what needs to change. Every complaint, every concern, every voice that's been ignored, all of it will be heard and taken seriously. He paused. Let the words sink in. Third, I want you to know why I'm here. Some of you saw the video. Some of you know what Miranda Stone did to me in that lobby. I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt. It did. But I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because every single one of you deserves better than to suffer for someone else's mistakes. He walked to the edge of the stage, closer to the crowd. My wife died 11 years ago. We had 2 little kids. I was building a company out of my garage and suddenly I was alone. The only thing that got me through was people helping me. Strangers, neighbors, people who didn't have to care but chose to care anyway. His voice thickened slightly. I made a promise to her before she died. I promised I would spend my life trying to help others the way people helped us. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm standing in front of you today. Not because Miranda Stone deserves a second chance, because you do. The silence was complete. I know you're scared. I know you don't know me. I know you're wondering if you can trust anything I'm saying. All I can tell you is this. I've been where you are, scared, uncertain, wondering if tomorrow would be okay. And I know how much it meant when someone looked me in the eye and told me it would be. He spread his hands. So here I am, looking you in the eye, telling you it's going to be okay. We're going to build something good here, together, all of us. Not because it's profitable, because it's right. For a moment, nothing happened. Then someone started clapping. Then another person. Then the whole room erupted. 400 to 500 people on their feet, applauding, some crying, some cheering. Years of fear and uncertainty breaking apart in a single moment of hope. Daniel stood on that stage and let it wash over him. This was why. This was always why. Afterward, people lined up to shake his hand. They came one by one, 2 by 2. Sometimes whole families who worked at the company together. Thank you, Mr. Wright. God bless you, sir. My kids can stay in their schools now. Thank you. I've been here 22 years. I thought I was going to lose everything. Daniel shook every hand, looked into every face, heard every story. It took 4 hours. He didn't mind. One woman approached near the end of the line. Middle-aged, tired eyes, hands rough from years of work. Mr. Wright, I need to tell you something. I'm listening. I was there, in the lobby. The day it happened, I was coming in early for a meeting, and I saw the whole thing. Daniel nodded slowly. I watched her refuse to shake your hand. I watched them escort you out. And I did nothing. The woman's voice cracked. I should have said something. I should have spoken up. But I was scared. Scared of losing my job. Scared of what she might do. What's your name? Margaret. Margaret Torres. Margaret, you have nothing to apologize for. But you were protecting your family, your livelihood. I understand that. The only person responsible for what happened that day is the person who did it. Not you, not anyone else who was watching. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. You really believe that? I really believe that. She grabbed his hand, squeezed it tight. My son is 12. He wants to start his own business someday. Like you. I'm going to tell him about this moment for the rest of my life. Daniel felt something shift in his chest. Tell him the only thing that matters is treating people right. Everything else follows from that. Margaret nodded, wiped her eyes, walked away. Daniel watched her go. 4. 500 hands shaken. 500 stories heard. 500 reasons why he'd done the right thing. The doubt was still there. The anger hadn't fully faded. But standing in that room surrounded by people whose lives he'd helped save, Daniel felt something he hadn't felt since Sarah died. Peace, not happiness, not triumph, just peace. The quiet knowledge that he'd done what she would have wanted. That night he called Priya from his hotel room. How are you feeling? Tired, but good. Really good. The employee meeting footage is everywhere. People are calling you a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who got lucky enough to be in a position to help. That's exactly what a hero would say. Daniel laughed softly. How's the integration going? Smoother than expected. Robert Chen is impressive. With Miranda out of the way, the whole executive team seems lighter. Like they've been holding their breath for years and finally get to exhale. And Miranda? She's kept her word so far. Stepped down completely. Started the bias training program. The independent auditors say she's been cooperative. Good. You sound surprised. I'm cautiously optimistic. There's a difference. Pause. Daniel, can I ask you something? Always. Do you really believe people can change? Like fundamentally change who they are? Daniel thought about the question. About Sarah. About the man he used to be, before grief cracked him open and rebuilt him into something new. I think people can choose to change, every day, every moment. But it's not a one-time decision. It's 1,000 decisions. 1,000,000 small choices that add up over time. Miranda said the right words. Now we'll see if she makes the right choices. And if she doesn't, then at least she had the chance. That's more than most people get. You really are something else, Daniel Wright. I'm really just tired and ready to go home to my kids. Priya laughed. Go. Sleep. I'll handle things here. Thank you, Priya. For everything. Always. He hung up, looked out the window at San Francisco glittering in the darkness. Somewhere in this city, Miranda Stone was starting her journey toward becoming someone new. Somewhere 400 to 500 families were sleeping better than they had in months. Somewhere a video of a man being humiliated was still playing, still teaching, still sparking conversations about who we are and who we want to be. Daniel pulled the curtain closed. Tomorrow he would fly home. Tomorrow he would hug his children and check Tyler's homework and pretend that everything was normal. But tonight he allowed himself one moment. Just one. He pulled out his phone, found Sarah's photo, the one he kept in a special folder, the one he looked at when he needed to remember why he kept going. I did it, babe, he whispered. I don't know if I did it right, but I did it. The photo didn't answer. But somehow in the silence of that hotel room, Daniel felt like she was there, watching, proud. That was enough. It would always be enough. 6 months passed faster than Daniel expected. The integration of Titan Technologies into Wright Industries was smoother than anyone predicted. Robert Chen proved to be exactly the leader the company needed. Calm, competent, humble. The kind of person who listened more than he spoke and made decisions based on data rather than ego. Employee satisfaction scores climbed every month. Turnover dropped to the lowest in company history. The culture audit revealed what everyone already suspected. Years of toxic leadership had created an environment where people were afraid to speak up, afraid to take risks, afraid to be themselves. That was changing now. Daniel flew to San Francisco once a month to check on progress. Each time he saw something different, something better. People laughing in the hallways. Meetings that ended early because decisions got made efficiently. A suggestion box that actually got read. Small things. But small things add up. On his 6th visit, Robert met him in the lobby. The same lobby where everything had started. "You look tired," Daniel said. "Good tired. The kind that comes from building something." "How's the new leadership program going?" "Better than expected. We've promoted 14 people from inside the company. People who were overlooked before. People who had ideas but were never given a chance to share them. And the complaints? Down 67% from last year. The ones we do get are handled within 48 hours. No more sweeping things under the rug." Daniel nodded. "Good. That's good." They walked toward the elevator. People waved as they passed. Smiled. Some even stopped to shake Daniel's hand. "You've become something of a legend around here," Robert said. "I'm just a guy in jeans." "You're more than that. You're proof that doing the right thing can actually work in business. You have no idea how rare that is." The elevator arrived. They stepped inside. "Speaking of doing the right thing," Robert said carefully, "there's something I need to tell you." "What?" "Miranda wants to see you." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Why?" "She's been doing the work. All of it. The bias training. The personal calls to former employees. The donations. She's kept every promise she made." "Good for her." "Daniel, I know you don't owe her anything, but she asked me to ask you. Just a conversation, 15 minutes, if you're willing." The elevator opened on the executive floor. Daniel stepped out. Stopped. 6 months ago, he'd walked out of this building humiliated. Now he was being asked to sit down with the woman who'd caused it. Where is she? Conference room B. She's been waiting for 2 hours. 2 hours. She said she'd wait all day if she had to. Daniel looked down the hallway. Conference room B was at the end. Through the glass walls, he could see a figure sitting alone at the table. 15 minutes. That's all she's asking. He walked down the hallway. Each step felt heavier than the last. Not from anger, not anymore. From something else. Something he couldn't quite name. He reached the door, paused, pushed it open. Miranda Stone stood up the moment he entered. She looked different. Older somehow, but also softer. The sharp edges that had defined her 6 months ago seemed worn down. Her clothes were simple. No designer labels, no diamonds. Just a woman in a gray sweater and black pants standing in a conference room, waiting for a man she'd wronged. "Mr. Wright, thank you for coming." "Daniel, we're past formalities." "Daniel." She tried out the name like it was new. "Please sit." He sat across from her, the table stretched between them, like a boundary neither was sure how to cross. "Robert says you've been doing the work." "I have." "Why?" Miranda blinked. "What do you mean?" "I mean why? The cameras are off. The press has moved on. No one's watching anymore. So why keep doing it?" She was quiet for a long moment. "Do you remember what you said to me in your driveway about your wife?" "I remember." "You said she taught you that forgiveness isn't for the person who receives it. It's for the person who gives it." Miranda's voice wavered. "I've thought about that every single day for 6 months. And I realized something. What I did to you in that lobby wasn't an accident. It wasn't a one-time mistake. It was who I was. It was who I'd been for years. Decades, maybe. I looked at people and I judged them. I decided who was worth my time and who wasn't based on the most superficial criteria imaginable." She leaned forward. "After you left my driveway that day, I went home, and I looked in the mirror. Really looked. And I didn't like what I saw. Not because I'd been caught, because I finally saw the truth. I'd spent my whole life building walls between myself and other people. Walls made of money and status and assumptions. And those walls had made me small, cruel, alone. Daniel watched her, said nothing. The work I've been doing these past 6 months wasn't for you. It wasn't even for the company. It was for me. Because I couldn't live with the person I used to be. Because I wanted to become someone different. Someone better. And have you... I don't know. Her voice cracked. I hope so, but I also know that 6 months isn't enough to undo 30 years of being the wrong kind of person. I might be doing this for the rest of my life, and even then, it might not be enough. Daniel leaned back in his chair. My wife used to say that change isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you were always supposed to be. The person you were before the world told you who to be instead. Miranda's eyes filled with tears. She sounds like she was extraordinary. She was. She was the best person I've ever known, and not a day goes by that I don't miss her. I'm sorry. For what? For everything. For what I did to you. For all the people I hurt before you. For all the years I wasted being someone I'm ashamed of. She wiped her eyes. I know sorry isn't enough. I know words don't fix anything. But I needed you to hear it. From me. Face to face. Daniel was quiet for a long time. The silence stretched between them. Not comfortable, not uncomfortable, just real. I used to think about that day a lot, he finally said. The lobby, your face when you looked at my hand, the security guards, all those people watching. I think about it too, every day. For a while I was angry, really angry. The kind of angry that keeps you up at night and makes you want to hurt someone back. Miranda flinched. But then I realized something. The anger wasn't hurting you. It was hurting me. It was taking up space in my heart that could have been used for something better. For my kids. For my work. For the people who actually deserved my energy. So you let it go. I'm still letting it go. Every day. It's not a one-time thing. It's a choice I have to make over and over again. Miranda nodded slowly. That's what the counselor says. The one I've been seeing. She says healing isn't a destination. It's a direction. Smart counselor. She's helped me understand a lot. About myself. About why I became the person I became. My father was the same way, you know. Judging people by appearances. Deciding who was worthy and who wasn't. I learned it from him without even realizing it. That doesn't excuse it. No, it doesn't. But it helps me understand it. And understanding is the first step toward change. At least that's what I'm told. Daniel looked at her. Really looked. 6 months ago he'd seen a monster. A woman who'd looked at him like he was worthless. A symbol of everything wrong with the world. Now he saw something different. Something more complicated. A person struggling to become better than she was. A person doing the hard work of transformation even when no one was watching. I forgive you. Miranda's breath caught. What? I forgive you. For what you did in that lobby. For how you made me feel. For all of it. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't deserve that. Probably not. But that's not what forgiveness is about. It's not about deserving. It's about choosing to release the weight. For both of us. Miranda covered her face with her hands. Her shoulders shook. Daniel let her cry. When she finally looked up, her eyes were red, but something had shifted in them. Something lighter. What happens now? Now we move forward. Not as friends. Maybe never as friends. But as two people who shared a terrible moment and chose to let it make them better instead of worse. I'd like that. I'd really like that. Daniel stood up. Your 15 minutes are up. Miranda laughed. A real laugh. Probably the first one in 6 months. Thank you, Daniel. For everything. for the second chance, for the forgiveness, for showing me that people can be better than I thought. Thank yourself. You did the work. I just opened the door. He walked toward the exit, stopped at the threshold. Miranda? Yes. My wife had a saying. She'd tell me every morning before I left for work. It drove me crazy at first, but now I miss it more than anything. What was it? She'd say, "Be kind today. You never know whose worst day you're walking into." Miranda's face crumpled. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. About how many people's worst days I walked into without even noticing, without caring. Then notice now. Care now. That's all any of us can do. He walked out of the conference room. Robert was waiting by the elevator. How'd it go? Better than I expected. She's really trying, Daniel. I've worked with her for 15 years and I've never seen her like this. It's like she's becoming a different person. People don't become different people. They just become more of who they really are. Sometimes that means getting worse. Sometimes it means getting better. Which do you think she's doing? Daniel looked back down the hallway. Through the glass, he could see Miranda still sitting at the table. Her head was bowed, maybe crying, maybe praying, maybe just thinking. I think she's doing what all of us do, trying to figure out how to live with herself, how to make peace with the past, how to build something worth having from the wreckage of her mistakes. Is that enough? It has to be. It's all any of us have. The elevator arrived. Daniel stepped inside. The doors closed. The flight home felt different this time. Not lighter exactly, but clearer. Like something that had been stuck was finally starting to move. Daniel looked out the window at clouds rolling past. 30,000 feet up, everything looked simple, clean. The mess of human lives reduced to patterns of light and shadow on the earth below. His phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Dad, Tyler's been practicing his speech for the school presentation all week. He's driving me crazy, but also it's kind of cute. When are you coming home? Daniel smiled, typed back. Landing in 2 hours. Tell him I can't wait to hear it. He's doing it on you, BTW. On me. His speech. It's about his hero. He chose you. Daniel stared at the screen. His hero. He thought about all the times he'd felt like a failure, all the moments when grief had knocked him down and he wasn't sure he could get back up, all the nights when he'd sat alone in the dark, wondering if he was doing any of this right. And now his son was standing in front of his class, talking about how his dad was his hero. His eyes burned. Tell him I'm proud of him. Tell him I love him. I will. Love you too, Dad. Love you more. He put the phone away, looked out the window. Sarah would have loved this moment. She would have cried and laughed and made him feel like the luckiest man in the world. God, he missed her. But missing her wasn't the same as being destroyed by her absence. Not anymore. Somewhere along the way, grief had transformed into something else. Something gentler. A quiet presence rather than a screaming void. She was still with him, in the kids, in his choices, in the man he was trying to become. That was her legacy. That was what mattered. Tyler's presentation was on Friday. Daniel arrived at the school 20 minutes early, found a seat in the back of the auditorium, tried to look inconspicuous. It didn't work. Parents recognized him. Teachers whispered. A few people actually asked for photos. He smiled, shook hands, pretended it was normal. It wasn't normal. It would never be normal. But it was his life now, and he was learning to live with it. The presentation started at 2:00 p.m. Kids went one by one. Topics ranging from astronauts to athletes to historical figures. The usual elementary school fare. Tyler was 7th. He walked to the front of the room carrying index cards. His hands were shaking slightly. Daniel could see it from the back row. Hi, I'm Tyler Wright. My presentation is about my hero. He took a breath, looked at his cards, set them down. I was going to read from my notes, but my dad always says the best words come from the heart. So I'm just going to talk. Daniel's chest tightened. My hero is my dad. Not because he's rich or famous or any of that stuff. Most people don't even know he's rich because he doesn't act like it. He still drives me to soccer practice in our old minivan. He still makes pancakes on Saturday mornings, even though he burns them sometimes. He still helps me with homework even when he doesn't understand the new math. Soft laughter from the parents. My mom died when I was really little. I don't remember her very well, but my dad talks about her all the time. He has pictures of her everywhere. He tells me stories about how they met, how they fell in love, how she used to sing me to sleep. Tyler's voice wavered. I think that's what makes him a hero. Not the big stuff, the small stuff. The way he keeps her memory alive. The way he makes sure me and my sister know how much she loved us. The way he didn't give up when everything was really hard. Daniel couldn't see clearly anymore. His vision was blurred. A few months ago, something bad happened to my dad. A lady was really mean to him in front of a lot of people. It was on the news and everything. I was so mad. I wanted to yell at her. I wanted her to get in trouble. Tyler looked toward the back of the room, found his father's face. But my dad didn't yell. He didn't try to hurt her back. Instead, he helped her. He saved her company. He saved all those people's jobs. When I asked him why, he said something I'll never forget. The room was completely silent. He said, "Tyler, being strong isn't about hurting people who hurt you. It's about choosing to be kind even when it's hard. That's what your mom taught me. And that's what I want to teach you." Tyler wiped his eyes. So that's why my dad is my hero. Not because he's perfect, because he tries to be good, every day, even when nobody's watching, even when it would be easier to be mean. He chooses kindness, and I want to be just like him when I grow up. Tyler looked at his dad. I love you, Dad. The auditorium erupted in applause. Daniel was already moving. He walked down the aisle past the other parents, past the teachers, straight to the front of the room. He pulled his son into a hug. I love you too, buddy. I love you so much. Tyler held on tight. Did I do okay? You did better than okay? You did perfect. Mom would have been proud. Daniel's voice broke. Mom would have been so proud. She is proud. Wherever she is, she's watching, and she's so proud of you. They held each other for a long moment. The applause continued. Other parents were crying now too, teachers wiping their eyes, even some of the kids. Daniel didn't care about any of it. He just held his son and let the moment be what it was. A gift, a grace, a reason to keep going. That night, after Tyler was asleep and Emma was in her room, Daniel sat on the back porch. The stars were out, clear and bright, the kind of night Sarah had loved. Hey, babe, he said quietly. You missed a big day. The silence was comfortable, familiar. Tyler did his presentation. He talked about me, called me his hero. Can you believe that, me, a hero? He laughed softly. I don't feel like a hero. Most days I feel like I'm just making it up as I go along, hoping I don't screw these kids up too badly, hoping you'd be proud of the choices I'm making. A breeze rustled the trees. I forgave her today. Miranda. I sat across from her and told her I forgive her. And you know what? It felt right. It felt like what you would have wanted me to do. He looked up at the stars. I miss you. Every day. Every minute. But I'm okay. The kids are okay. We're going to be okay. A tear rolled down his cheek. Thank you for loving me, for showing me how to be better, for giving me Emma and Tyler. Thank you for everything. The back door opened. Emma stepped out. Dad, you okay? Yeah, sweetheart. Just talking to Mom. Emma sat down beside him, leaned her head on his shoulder. I do that too sometimes. Talk to her. Yeah, usually when I'm stressed about school, or when a boy is being dumb, or when I just miss her. What do you tell her? I tell her about my day, about Tyler's latest obsession, about how you're doing. I tell her not to worry about us because we're taking care of each other. Daniel put his arm around his daughter. You're a good kid, Emma. I learned from the best. They sat together in the darkness. Two people who'd lost everything and found a way to rebuild. Father and daughter. Survivors. Family. Dad. Yeah. I'm glad you forgave her. Miranda. Daniel looked at his daughter. You are... I was so angry at first, like crazy angry. But then I thought about what you always say, about how holding on to anger only hurts you, and I realized you were right. Being angry at her wasn't going to change what happened. It was just going to make me bitter. That's pretty wise for 16. I'm almost 17. Still wise. Emma smiled. I had a good teacher. They sat in silence for a while longer. The stars wheeled overhead. The night deepened. And Daniel Wright, the man who'd been humiliated in front of the world, sat with his daughter and felt something he hadn't felt in a long, long time. Whole. Not happy exactly. Happiness was too simple a word for what he felt. This was deeper, richer, more complicated. It was the feeling of having walked through fire and come out the other side. It was the feeling of having kept a promise to someone he loved. It was the feeling of being exactly where he was supposed to be. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new decisions, new opportunities to choose who he wanted to be. But tonight, Daniel Wright sat under the stars with his daughter and let himself rest. He'd earned it. They'd all earned it. And somewhere in a place beyond time and space and grief, Sarah was smiling. 1 year to the day. Daniel stood in the lobby of Titan Technologies at exactly 8:47 a.m. The same time he'd walked in 12 months ago. The same spot where Miranda Stone had refused to shake his hand. Everything looked different now. The chrome and glass were the same, but the energy had shifted. People smiled as they walked past. Laughter echoed from somewhere down the hallway. A group of employees gathered near the coffee station, talking animatedly about something that made them all grin. This was what healthy looked like. Robert Chen appeared from the elevator. He was carrying 2 cups of coffee. Daniel, right on time. Always. Robert handed him a cup. Black, no sugar, like always. You remembered. Hard to forget. You've been here 12 times in the past year. I've memorized your coffee order, your lunch preferences, and the fact that you always check your phone at exactly 2:15 p.m. That's when Emma gets out of school. I know. That's why I memorized it. It reminds me why we do this. They walked toward the elevator together. Employees waved. Some stopped to say hello. A young woman in a blue blazer approached nervously. Mr. Wright, I'm sorry to bother you, but I just wanted to say thank you. For what? I was one of the people who almost got laid off last year. I have 2 kids. My husband lost his job 6 months before the merger. If this company had gone under... She stopped. Composed herself. You saved my family. I wanted you to know that. Daniel shook her hand. What's your name? Rebecca. Rebecca Martinez. Rebecca, I didn't save anything. You did. You and everyone else who shows up every day and does the work. I just provided the opportunity. You did the rest. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. My daughter wants to be an engineer. She says she wants to build things that help people, just like you. Then she's already better than me. Engineers actually build things. I just write checks. Rebecca laughed, wiped her eyes. Thank you. Really. Thank you. She walked away. Robert watched her go. That happens a lot, doesn't it? More than you'd think. Does it ever get old? Daniel thought about it. No, it never gets old. It reminds me why money matters, not for what it can buy, for what it can do. They stepped into the elevator. You ready for the board meeting? Robert asked. Ready as I'll ever be. Miranda's going to be there. Daniel nodded. I know. First time you've been in the same room since the conference room conversation. I know that too. How do you feel about it? The elevator rose, floor after floor passing by. I feel like it's time. Time to close this chapter. Time to move forward. For everyone. Robert smiled. Sarah would be proud. You never met Sarah. No, but I've heard you talk about her. And I've watched you make decisions based on what she would have wanted. That tells me everything I need to know. The elevator opened on the executive floor. Let's go finish this. The boardroom was full. 12 faces around the table. Some Daniel knew well now. Patricia, who'd become an unexpected ally. David, the young board member who'd transformed into one of the company's strongest advocates for change. Richard, the chairman, whose initial skepticism had evolved into genuine respect. And Miranda. She sat at the far end of the table, no longer at the head. That seat belonged to Robert now. But she was there present, participating. Keeping the promise she'd made a year ago. She looked up when Daniel entered. Their eyes met. She nodded slightly. He nodded back. That was enough. Richard called the meeting to order. We're here to review the one-year integration report and to discuss the future direction of the company. Robert, the floor is yours. Robert stood. Pulled up a presentation on the screen behind him. 1 year ago, this company was 47 days from bankruptcy. Employee morale was at historic lows. We'd lost 3 major clients. Our stock had dropped 41%. Most analysts were predicting we wouldn't survive the quarter. He clicked to the next slide. Today, we're in a different position entirely. Revenue is up 147%. Employee satisfaction scores have increased by 89%. We've added 6 new major clients and expanded into 3 new markets. Our stock price has more than tripled from its lowest point. Murmurs around the table. Satisfied nods. But here's what I'm most proud of. Robert clicked again. 0 layoffs. Not a single person lost their job during the transition. Every one of our 400-500 employees is still with us. And 847 of them have received promotions in the past 12 months. Patricia spoke up. That's remarkable, Robert. Truly remarkable. It's not remarkable. It's intentional. When Daniel Wright agreed to this acquisition, he made one thing clear. This company would be measured not by its profits, but by how it treated its people. That's the standard we've tried to uphold. Robert looked at Daniel. Which brings me to the real reason we're all here today. He clicked to a new slide. A single image filled the screen. A photograph of Daniel and Sarah on their wedding day. Daniel's breath caught. 1 year ago, a man walked into this lobby expecting to sign papers that would save 400-500 jobs. Instead, he was humiliated, dismissed, thrown out by security because he didn't look the way someone expected an investor to look. The room was silent. That man could have walked away. He could have let this company fail. He could have watched from a distance as 400-500 families lost everything. No one would have blamed him. He had every right to be angry, every right to want revenge. Robert paused. But he didn't want revenge. He wanted justice. And more than that, he wanted to honor a promise he'd made to his wife. A promise to use his success to help others, to be kind, to choose grace over bitterness. Daniel felt his throat tighten. I've worked in business for 30 years. I've seen a lot of leaders, a lot of decisions, a lot of moments that reveal what people are really made of. But I've never seen anything like what Daniel Wright did for this company and its people. Robert turned to face Daniel directly. On behalf of everyone at Titan Technologies, every employee, every family, every person whose life was saved by your choice, thank you. Thank you for seeing past the worst moment this company ever had. Thank you for believing we could be better. Thank you for showing us what real leadership looks like. The room erupted in applause. Daniel stood slowly. Didn't trust his voice at first. The applause continued. Finally, he raised his hand. The room quieted. I appreciate the kind words, Robert, but I need to set the record straight about something. He looked around the table, at faces that had once been strangers and were now something closer to family. I didn't save this company. You did. Every single person in this building who showed up every day, who kept working when things looked hopeless, who believed that tomorrow could be better than today. That's what saved this company. I just provided the capital. You provided the courage. He paused. A year ago I stood in that lobby, and a woman refused to shake my hand. She looked at me and decided I wasn't worth her time. And for a while I was angry. Really angry. The kind of angry that keeps you awake at night planning ways to make someone pay. His eyes found Miranda's. But then I remembered something my wife used to say. She'd tell me that the only person you hurt when you hold on to anger is yourself. She'd tell me that forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about refusing to let their actions poison your soul. Miranda's eyes glistened. Sarah died 11 years ago. Cancer. She fought it for 14 months, and then she was gone. And I was left alone with 2 kids and a company that was barely surviving, and more grief than I knew what to do with. His voice thickened. In those first months, I wanted to give up. I wanted to sell everything and disappear. But then I'd look at my kids and I'd remember what Sarah said to me the night before she died. The room was absolutely still. She said, "Daniel, don't let grief make you small. Let it make you bigger. Let it teach you how precious life is. Let it remind you to be kind because everyone is fighting a battle you can't see." He wiped his eyes. That's why I'm here. Not because I'm special. Not because I'm a hero. Because a woman who loved me taught me that the measure of a person isn't how they succeed. It's how they respond to failure. How they treat people who can't help them. How they choose to act when no one's watching. He looked at Miranda one more time. I forgave Miranda Stone because holding on to anger was dishonoring my wife's memory. I saved this company because 400 or 500 families deserved a chance. And I'm standing here today because every single day I try to ask myself one question: what would Sarah want me to do? He sat down. The silence stretched. Then Patricia started clapping. Then David. Then the whole room. But Daniel wasn't looking at them. He was looking at Miranda. And for the first time since that day in the lobby, she looked back without shame. Just gratitude. Just peace. After the meeting, Miranda approached him. The boardroom had emptied. Just the 2 of them now standing where everything had begun. "Daniel, can I speak with you privately?" "Of course." She took a breath, gathered herself. "I've been working on something for the past 6 months. Something I want to show you. But I need you to come with me." "Where?" "The lobby. Where it happened." Daniel hesitated, then nodded. They walked to the elevator together, rode down in silence. When the doors opened, Daniel saw that the lobby was different than it had been that morning. Employees were gathered in a semicircle near the windows. Hundreds of them. Maybe 1,000. And in the center of the lobby where Daniel had stood when Miranda refused his handshake, something new had been installed. A bronze plaque mounted on a marble pedestal. Miranda led him toward it. The crowd parted. Daniel read the words engraved in bronze. "This plaque marks the spot where on March 15th of last year, a grave injustice occurred. A man was judged not by his character, but by his appearance. He was denied basic human dignity. He was humiliated in public for the way he dressed. That man responded not with anger, but with grace. Not with revenge, but with mercy. He saved this company and its 400 or 500 employees, not because we deserved it, but because he believed we could become better than our worst moment." This plaque stands as a permanent reminder. Every person who walks through these doors deserves respect, regardless of what they wear, regardless of what they look like, regardless of where they come from. Dignity is not negotiable. Kindness is not optional. And the true measure of this company will always be how we treat those who cannot help us. In honor of Daniel Wright, and in memory of Sarah Wright, whose legacy of love continues to change lives. Be kind today. You never know whose worst day you're walking into. Daniel couldn't speak, couldn't move. He just stared at the words. At Sarah's name carved in bronze. At her wisdom immortalized in this place where he'd been brought so low. Miranda stood beside him. "I wanted to do something permanent," she said quietly. "Something that would last longer than any of us, so that every person who ever walks through this lobby knows what happened here, and knows that it should never happen again." Daniel's tears fell freely now. "How did you know about what Sarah used to say?" "Emma told me." He looked at her sharply. "Emma? I reached out to her a few months ago. I wanted to apologize directly, to your family. She was angry at first, really angry, but we started talking, and eventually she started sharing stories about her mother, about the things Sarah believed, the values she lived by." Miranda's voice cracked. "Your daughter is remarkable, Daniel. Just like her mother. She told me that if I really wanted to honor what happened, I should find a way to keep Sarah's memory alive. Because that's what matters to your family. Not revenge, not punishment. Memory, love, legacy." Daniel looked at the plaque again. Sarah's words carved in bronze in the exact spot where he'd been humiliated. "This is..." He couldn't finish. "It's permanent," Miranda said. "Bolted into the floor. It can never be removed. Every employee who joins this company will be told this story. Every visitor who walks through will see these words. Every person who ever doubts that change is possible will have proof that it is." The employees around them had gone silent. Daniel reached out and touched the plaque, traced Sarah's name with his finger. "She would have loved this," he whispered. "She would have said it was too much. She would have been embarrassed, but secretly deep down she would have loved it." "I hoped so." Daniel turned to Miranda. "Thank you. This means more than you'll ever know. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But it's something. It's a start. It's more than a start. It's a promise. A promise that what happened to me won't happen to anyone else. Not here. Not in this building." He looked around at the employees, at the faces watching him, at the tears on some of their cheeks. "Can I say something to everyone?" Miranda nodded, stepped back. Daniel moved to stand beside the plaque, face the crowd. "1 year ago, I walked into this lobby and was treated like I didn't matter, like I was worthless, like the clothes I wore were more important than the person wearing them." He paused. "That moment could have broken me, could have made me bitter, could have taught me that the world is cruel and the only way to survive is to be cruel back." His voice strengthened. "But that's not what happened. Instead, that moment taught me something else. It taught me that how we respond to injustice matters more than the injustice itself. It taught me that forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the ultimate strength. It taught me that one terrible moment doesn't have to define a person or a company forever." He looked at the plaque. "My wife Sarah believed that every person carries a story we can't see. She believed that kindness costs nothing but means everything. She believed that the smallest act of respect can change someone's entire day, their entire week, their entire life." He touched the bronze again. "She's gone now. 11 years. But her words are here carved in metal, standing in the exact spot where I was hurt. And that means something. It means that even in death she's still teaching, still loving, still making the world a little bit better." His voice broke. He let it. "So here's what I want you to remember. Not my story, not the video, not the headlines. Remember her. Remember Sarah. Remember that somewhere right now someone is having the worst day of their life. And you might be the only person who shows them kindness. You might be the only one who sees them, who treats them like they matter. who gives them the grace to get through. He wiped his eyes. Be that person. Today. Tomorrow. Every day. Because that's what Sarah would have wanted. That's what she would have done. And that's the only legacy that matters. Silence. Then applause. Then cheering. Then something Daniel never expected. They started chanting. Sarah. 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 Her name echoing through the lobby where she'd never been, where she'd never walked, where her memory would now live forever. Daniel closed his eyes, let the sound wash over him, let the tears fall, let himself feel for just a moment that she was here, watching, proud, home. 2 weeks later, Tyler had a soccer game, regional finals, biggest game of the season. The stands were packed with parents, siblings, grandparents. Everyone screaming, cheering, living and dying with every kick. Daniel sat in his usual spot, third row, left side, the spot where he'd watched 100 games over the years. Emma sat beside him, phone in hand, recording everything. He's nervous, she said. Look at how he keeps touching his hair. He does that when he's thinking, or when he's freaking out. Same thing with Tyler. The game started, back and forth. Neither team scoring, the clock ticking down. With 3 minutes left, Tyler got the ball. Daniel leaned forward. Tyler dribbled past one defender, then another. The goalkeeper came out. Tyler faked left, went right, shot. The ball hit the back of the net. The crowd exploded. Tyler was immediately buried under a pile of teammates. When he emerged grass-stained and grinning, he looked at the stands. Found his father's face, pointed at him. Daniel pointed back. That was their thing. Had been since Tyler was 6 years old. No words needed. Just a point. Just an acknowledgement. I see you. I'm proud of you. We're in this together. After the game, Tyler ran over with his trophy. 3rd place in regionals. The team's best finish ever. Dad, did you see it? The goal? I saw it, buddy. That fake was incredible. I've been practicing it for weeks. Emma said I'd never pull it off in a real game, but I did. Never doubt yourself, Tyler. Ever. Tyler's grin faded slightly. Dad. Yeah. I've been thinking about Mom, about everything you've done this year, about the plaque and the speech and all of it. What about it? I think she's really proud of you, like really proud. I know I am, but I think she is too. Daniel's throat tightened. What makes you say that? Because you did what she would have done. You were kind when it was hard. You forgave when it was easier to stay angry. You helped people who couldn't help themselves. That's what she was like. And you kept being like that even when she wasn't here to remind you. 11 years old, saying things most adults couldn't articulate. Daniel pulled his son into a hug. Thank you, buddy. That means more than you know. I love you, Dad. I love you too. Always. They walked to the car together. Emma trailing behind, still recording, preserving every moment. A family. Whole despite everything it had lost. Moving forward. Together. That night, Daniel sat on the back porch one last time. Stars overhead. The same stars Sarah used to love. The same darkness. The same quiet. But something was different now. The weight he'd been carrying was lighter. Not gone. It would never be gone entirely, but manageable, bearable, transformed into something he could live with. Hey, babe, he said to the darkness. It's been a year. The wind rustled through the trees. I did it. Everything I promised. Everything you would have wanted. I saved those families. I forgave the woman who hurt me. I raised our kids. I tried to be kind even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. He looked up at the stars. There's a plaque now, in that lobby, with your name on it, with those words you used to say every morning, the ones I pretended to be annoyed by but secretly loved. His voice wavered. I miss you. God, I miss you. Every single day. But I'm okay now. Really okay. Not just surviving, living, the way you'd want me to. He thought about the year, the humiliation, the anger, the choice to forgive, the transformation, the healing, all of it leading here, to this moment, to this peace. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you're watching, but if you are, I want you to know I'm going to keep going. Keep trying. Keep being the man you believed I could be. For the kids, for myself, for you. He stood up, looked at the stars one more time. Thank you, Sarah, for loving me, for teaching me, for giving me something worth living for. I'll see you again someday, but not yet. I've still got work to do. He walked inside. The house was quiet, kids asleep. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the tick of the old clock in the hallway. He passed Sarah's photo on the wall, stopped. Good night, babe. Walked to his bedroom, lay down in the darkness. And for the first time in 11 years, Daniel Wright fell asleep with a smile on his face. Because he'd kept his promise. Because he'd become the man she'd always known he could be. Because in the end, the story wasn't about a handshake refused. It was about a love that refused to die. And that love had changed everything. Every reader who watches this video, remember the way you treat people when you think no one's watching reveals exactly who you are. Daniel Wright was humiliated by someone who saw only his clothes, not his character. But instead of revenge, he chose grace. Instead of bitterness, he chose forgiveness. Instead of destruction, he chose to build. That's the lesson. That's the legacy. That's what Sarah Wright taught her husband and what he taught the world. Be kind today. You never know whose worst day you're walking into. Comment below and tell me. Have you ever been judged unfairly for how you looked? How did you respond? And more importantly, how will you respond next time? Because the next time could change everything. For you, for them, for everyone. Daniel Wright walked into a lobby and was treated like nothing. He walked out and changed everything. That's not a story about a billionaire. That's a story about a human being. And it proves one simple truth that will echo through every generation that hears it. Dignity is not negotiable. Respect is not conditional. And the measure of a person will always be found not in how they treat the powerful, but in how they treat those who cannot fight back. Daniel Wright chose kindness. Now it's your turn.